As my job's pretty unique, I barely interact with people outside of work. Naturally, my mother started to worry that I might not be interested in men, so she took matters into her own hands and arranged a marriage for me. On paper, he seemed perfect, handsome, charming, and the son of the wealthiest man in town. Since I spent most of my time at the office and never had a chance to shop, my boss even commissioned a custom wedding dress for me. But on the day of the wedding, just as I was about to change and walk down the aisle, I discovered my dress had been thrown in the trash. Before I could process what was happening, the fiancé's secretary stormed in, shoving a bridesmaid dress at me, her expression dripping with superiority. "What are you staring at? The ceremony is about to start."
"Put this on," she snapped.
I forced myself to remain calm. "I'm the bride, and you expect me to wear this?" She rolled her eyes like I was being ridiculous. "Just put on. Don't make a scene." Then she added smugly, "Mr. Cobb said I'd be taking your place at the altar." I froze. After a moment, I pulled out my phone and dialed my fiancé. "Mr. Cobb," I said, keeping my voice steady, "doesn't your family owe me an explanation for this switch?" This wedding had been approved and scheduled through multiple levels at my job. Being replaced last minute would be humiliating and could even ruin my career. I was willing to let it slide if he owned up to it and apologized. Instead, his response was dripping with disdain. "Explanation? What do you expect me to explain?" "Mr. Cobb, we've never met before today," I said, "but I'm supposed to be your fiancé. Letting someone else stand in my place, it's absurd, isn't it?" He hung up before I could finish. I froze, stunned. Was this how wealthy men behaved? The secretary smirked. "Miss Riley, do yourself a favor and just change. Marrying into the Cobb family? You should consider yourself lucky." Her eyes skimmed over my simple dress and modest appearance, clearly judging me unworthy. "I am the bride. I will not wear that," I snapped, pointing toward a nearby staff member. "And if you push me, I'll have security remove you." Her arrogance didn't falter. "Miss Riley, this is New York. The Cobbs call the shots here. Who's going to help you?" Her voice rose, spittle flying as she ranted. My fists clenched, my eyes narrowing. "Ridiculous," I said coldly. "A businessman acting like royalty just because we're in New York? What a joke." Her glare turned lethal. "Who do you think you are, throwing a tantrum on Cobb territory? This is your final warning. Wear the dress, or I'll make sure your wedding becomes a disaster." I'd worked quietly in one place since college, never having a public profile. I'd never been threatened like this before, but she had crossed a line. "I don't believe you," I said firmly. The room went silent, staff members exchanging shocked glances. Is she crazy? Going toe-to-toe with Miss Jillian like that? It's just a dress. She's about to ruin a wedding with the Cobbs over clothing. She's lucky to even be marrying into that family. Who cares who stands at the altar? The whispers swelled, and the secretary's smirk only grew wider. "You hear that," she taunted. "A nobody like you, no family, no skills, thinking you can be the bride? Keep dreaming, sweetheart." Their jeers barely registered with me. Honestly, I found the whole thing a little absurd. "Jillian Snee, right?" I answered, steady. "One more time, please. Hand me back my wedding dress." She spat a laugh. "Give you back your wedding dress?" As if. She muttered a few curses, then, as if words were not enough, rolled up her sleeves and lunged. "What now?" I shot back. Cobb's little maid can't win with words, so she goes straight to hitting? She swung at my face, furious, though she never even grazed the hem of my gown. That only made her strike harder. "You little... Stand still and see what happens," she barked. "Do you want me to call Mr. Cobb right now?" I didn't move, not because I was scared, but because my supervisor had warned me before I left for the ceremony. "Everything you say and do reflects on the company, so keep your composure no matter what." I don't pick fights, but when I do, I don't aim for warnings, I aim to finish things. Jillian mistook my quiet for surrender and swung again when a deep voice cut through the room. "Enough!" A tall man filled the doorway, flanked by security, his presence instantly commanding. "Jillian," he snapped, "you are my secretary. What is this, punching people in public?" So this was him, Hayden Cobb, the groom. My mother had not lied. He looked as if he'd stepped out of a glossy magazine, nearly 6'3", in a flawless suit, every line of him composed. If there was a flaw, it was the way he regarded me, cool and unreadable, as though I were invisible. "Mr. Cobb," I said, stepping forward with a polite smile, "since we finally meet, Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Veronica Riley. That won't be necessary, he cut in, waving me off. I have no interest in who you are. For a beat, I thought I'd misheard. I was supposed to be his bride, the future daughter in the Cobb family, and he was humiliating me before the ceremony had begun. Mr. Cobb, I kept my voice even. I know this was arranged by our parents, and we haven't met before, but the least you could do is let me finish a sentence. Isn't that basic courtesy? His expression hardened at that. Courtesy? He scoffed. Veronica, do us both a favor. Look in a mirror and ask yourself if someone like you even merits my attention. He let out a short, bitter laugh, then added, Make this perfectly clear, if my father hadn't forced this marriage on me, you wouldn't even get a second look. You bring nothing to the table. He turned to the room, voice louder now, and don't get any ideas. Just because there's a ceremony today doesn't mean you'll be part of it, not in this lifetime. Instead of crumbling, I let out a small laugh and shrugged. Since you've made your position abundantly clear, I won't push it. My tone cooled, sharper now. But that said, if anyone tries to humiliate me or make a mockery of this event, I will not stand aside and let it ruin my life, my reputation, or my job. I will fight back, in ways that matter. The room held its breath, some faces pale with shock, others smug with satisfaction. Jillian's jaw tightened. Hayden's gaze flickered for a fraction of a second, and in that pause, I knew the ceremony was no longer just about vows. It had become something else entirely. Veronica's POV. I think it's safe to say this wedding doesn't need to happen, I said, trying to defuse things calmly. But the heir standing in front of me clearly didn't get it. He thought I was playing a game. Cut the act, Veronica, he sneered. You think I haven't seen this before? Playing hot and cold to draw me in? Do you realize how many women in this city would kill to marry into my family? I couldn't help laughing at his arrogance. Mr. Cobb, honestly, I don't care what those women want. I don't want anything to do with you. And as for your so-called family that you won't stop talking about, I gave a dry chuckle. Please. The room erupted. Oh my God. Did she just insult his family to his face? She's completely insane. No kidding. Mr. Cobb is every woman's dream here, and she doesn't even know it. If it were me, I wouldn't care what I had to wear. Marrying into the Cobbs is everything. I tuned out their whispers. Sure, the Cobbs had power and influence, stretching across New York and beyond. But what use is money if it's just numbers? Real influence doesn't come from wealth alone. I still remembered how Hayden's father, the CEO, had once bent over backward for me in a past mission. The man before me, drenched in sweat within minutes, clearly had no idea what was coming. The fortune his father had fought for could be ruined by his own son. Veronica, I'm asking one last time, Hayden said, his voice tight. Are you really calling off the engagement? I met his gaze steadily. Absolutely. His face darkened, clearly unprepared for my decisiveness. Before he could speak again, the secretary interjected. Don't worry, Mr. Cobb. I'll take care of the explanation with your father. She's just a nobody. You're better off without her. Hayden hesitated, uncertainty flickering across his face. But the invitations, canceling now could harm my family's reputation, he murmured. The secretary clapped her chest dramatically. Mr. Cobb, relax. I'm here, aren't I? Hayden's eyes brightened. You mean? She nodded, practically glowing. We'll proceed with the wedding. I'll be the bride. Hayden looked like he might cry. Jillian, thank you. You're saving everything. Don't worry, she replied sweetly. Once it's done, your family will take care of me. I let out a cold laugh. All right, that's enough. Mr. Cobb, now that your little wedding drama is settled, let's talk about compensation. I gestured to the trash can nearby. My wedding dress was custom-made for me. You owe me an explanation and restitution. The room erupted again. She must be insane. It's just a dress. Seriously, the Cobbs could buy her hundreds, no, thousands of dresses. I swept my gaze around, voice icy. Listen, everyone. The dress may not be worth much money, but what it represents cannot be measured in cash. Hayden clearly didn't get it. It's just a dress, he muttered, striding toward me, smirking. Let me guess, you want money? Name your price. 100,000? 1,000,000? I held back my fury, meeting his eyes. Mr. Cobb, do you really think money solves everything? He raised an eyebrow, mocking. Doesn't it? Maybe you forgot, Veronica, he said, his voice hardening. This is New York. This is my family's turf. You want to challenge me? One call, and you're gone from the city. I clenched my fists and spoke deliberately. Mr. Cobb, was that a threat? Before he could answer, the secretary snapped. Damn right it was. What, you going to cry? She squared up, daring me. Come on, tough girl.
Hit me.
I stared at her coldly. Let me guess, you think being someone's lapdog is something to be proud of? Her face went crimson, stammering, unable to fire back. Hayden quickly stepped in, shielding her. Who did you just call a lapdog? Jillian has been with me since college.
She's practically family.
Apologize to her now, or you're not leaving this room. Funny, within an hour, I'd been threatened twice. In all my years with the top secret government unit, nothing like this had ever happened. This time, I was done talking. I pulled out my phone calmly. Hello, boss. It's Veronica. The voice on the other end lit up. Veronica, did you finally meet your future husband? Like what you see? I gave a cold chuckle. Boss, it's a long story, but someone threw my custom wedding dress into a trash can. Did you hear me? The shock on the line was palpable. Veronica, that dress had a Medal of Honor stitched into it. My blood boiled. And the person who destroyed it? Not only did she not apologize, she threatened me. I recounted the events, and by the end, I heard glass shattering on his end. Who did this? He demanded. Just then, the secretary snatched the phone. You're the boss she keeps talking about, she scoffed. I'm Hayden's secretary. Take it up with me. My boss went silent, stunned by her audacity. So you destroyed Veronica's dress and threatened her? She remained cocky. I couldn't help laughing. Mr. Cobb, you really know how to choose your team. Even nationwide, I've never met anyone as fearless as your secretary. Jillian, oblivious to my sarcasm, rolled her eyes. Please. Your so-called boss doesn't matter. As long as Mr. Cobb is in charge, the Cobbs will remain untouchable. I tilted my head, smiling faintly. Is that so? Then what happens if, after today, the Cobbs no longer exist in this city? Someone shouted, Look outside. Everyone rushed to the windows, and outside, a sleek convoy of black Audi A6s, all bearing New York 1 plates, rolled up to the venue in perfect formation. Jillian's face went white the moment she saw the convoy. Sirs, why didn't you warn us you were coming? I would have prepared something, she stammered, scrambling toward the newcomer. A dignified, middle-aged man stepped out of the lead car, composed and authoritative. We are here for Miss Riley's wedding. Where is she? He asked, voice calm, but unmistakably in charge. Every head in the room turned toward me. Jillian froze, as if she had seen a ghost. I walked forward slowly, a tight, cool smile on my lips. Sorry for the trouble, everyone.
Didn't expect you'd have to come out this late.
The man took my hand with both of his, firm and respectful. The counselor was right about you, he said warmly. You truly stand shoulder to shoulder with men. Jillian, still reeling, tried to recover. Wait, sir. Are you sure you've got the right person? She's just a pretty face. Are you really looking for Miss Riley? The man turned to her, his expression hardening. You are the Cobb family's secretary, correct? When she nodded, the man continued. Then there is no mistake. We are here under direct orders to attend Miss Riley's wedding. Color drained from Jillian's face, her body trembling as she begged. Sir, could you at least tell me who she is, for Mr. Cobb's sake? Sorry, he replied crisply. That is classified. That single word sent Jillian into visible panic. Hayden, watching his secretary falter, tried to salvage his dignity, stepping forward. Sir, I am Edric Cobb's son, the chairman's heir. As her husband, I should be entitled to know who she is. The man sighed, uncomfortable. Mr. Cobb, I understand your position, but orders stand. Even as her husband, you are not authorized to know her background. Gasps rippled through the room. Did he just say even her husband cannot know her identity? She summoned top-tier officials to the venue? Only a handful in the country can pull that off. Veronica's POV. Someone muttered, This is going to be a spectacle. The Cobbs might be in real trouble. Hayden's face went pale. I addressed him calmly. My guests are already here. Now then, where's my wedding dress? Hayden, flustered, fumbled for his phone. Veronica, I looked it up, and there's nothing about your dress online. He waved the phone at me, smug. I shook my head, smiling. Mr. Cobb, your secretary has a limited worldview. My dress was custom made by my superior. Why would you find the price on the internet? Civilian gowns and those made for military or official use are not the same. I glanced at Jillian and added, "You like Googling everything, don't you? Try looking up the value of a Medal of Honor." Murmurs of disbelief floated through the crowd. She's with the cabinet? She's this young? No wonder she stayed so calm. She has national backing. Jillian's composure collapsed. I didn't know. I thought it was just a regular dress. I raised an eyebrow, coolly, regretting your assumptions now. You treated me like a pushover. She had no answer. Desperate, she turned to Hayden, begging for help. Mr. Cobb, I've worked for you for years. Please help me. I smiled, steady. I'd stop wasting breath if I were you. Your Mr. Cobb can't even save himself right now. What makes you think he can save you? Hayden snarled. Veronica, don't push your luck. Don't forget where you are. This is New York. Oh, you still think you control the game? I pulled out my phone and held it up. Shall I call your father and ask who actually runs this city? I dialed Edric Cobb's number, right there, in front of everyone. It rang only a few seconds before he picked up. Miss Riley, he answered, warm. The wedding's starting soon. What's wrong? I fixed my tone, cold as ice. Mr. Cobb, is your family getting too comfortable with privilege? I continued, using the same bluntness Jillian had used earlier when she threatened my superior. You have 10 minutes to show up in person, or I will wipe your family's name off the map. There was a long silence, then a loud crash, the sound of something breaking. Miss Riley, please calm down. Edric stammered. I'll be right there. His promise echoed through the room. Someone whispered, she just threatened the founder of the Cobb Corporation like it was nothing. Others hissed, if she's with the cabinet, going against them in New York is risky. Hayden, the golden child of the Cobb dynasty, stood trembling with fury. I don't care who you are, Veronica, he spat. We will not let this go. I raised my hand casually toward Hayden. Mr. Cobb, I think you've got it all wrong. It's not about whether your family will forgive me. It's about whether I'll forgive you. His loyal secretary immediately lunged to defend him. You insolent little brat. How dare you speak to Mr. Cobb like that? Do you want to die? A team of highly trained bodyguards quickly moved to surround me, blocking every possible exit. The room felt like it could explode at any second. Then a strong, authoritative voice rang out. Stand down. Moments later, a dignified, middle-aged man hurried in, sweat beading on his forehead. Miss Riley, I'm so sorry you were frightened. He glanced around, instantly understanding the chaos. Without looking at his son, he walked straight over to me and gave a deep bow. This is all my fault for failing to raise my son properly. Please, Miss Riley, don't hold this against us. I steadied him with a gentle hand, a faint smile on my lips. There's no need for formalities, Mr. Cobb. Half an hour ago, I called off the engagement with your son. From now on, our paths no longer cross. I have nothing more to do with your family. Edric opened his mouth, but the look on my face made him pause. He turned his fury on Hayden instead, slapping his son across the face, leaving a clear red mark. You idiot! Do you realize what you've done? Hayden touched his cheek in disbelief. Dad, I was just trying to pursue my own happiness. I didn't want to marry someone who's all looks and no substance. Is that a crime? Wanting happiness isn't wrong, I said calmly. But the way you went about it, that's the part one take issue with. Hayden's expression darkened again, his anger barely contained. Veronica, stop acting like some high and mighty victim. Why can't I break off the engagement? I'm my family's heir, future CEO of Cobb Group. And you? You're just some government worker with minor backing. Technically, he wasn't wrong. I do serve the people. But Edric clearly disagreed. His body trembled with rage as he struggled to contain it. Hayden, shut your mouth. I don't care about your excuses. Apologize to Miss Riley immediately. If you keep behaving like a spoiled brat, don't expect me to hesitate to disown you. His words were sharp, loud enough for everyone to hear. Jillian, once arrogant, was now frozen, realizing a young woman my age could command such respect from Edric. Mr. Cobb, she pleaded, she may look down on your family, but your son was just trying to protect the family's image. Why get so worked up? It's New York. Your family's reputation should still matter. Edric remained unmoved. Outwardly, he might have seemed like an old tycoon, out of touch, but I knew better. Every move he made was calculated to protect his family and earn my respect. I found a corner to sit in, letting Edric take the stage. He wasted no time. Pointing at his son's secretary, he shouted, "You, Hayden's personal secretary, you're fired. Effective immediately." Then, with a desperate smile at me, he addressed the entire room. "And anyone else who dares disrespect Miss Riley today, you're gone. No exceptions." Jillian's face crumbled completely. Before the room could settle, Hayden, ever clueless, stepped forward. "Dad, what right do you have to fire my secretary? She wasn't wrong. Before you got here, this woman threatened our company. And now you're siding with her?" Even amid the chaos, Hayden truly believed his family still wielded real power.
Poor guy.
He had no idea how badly he'd miscalculated. The real power had always rested with me. Edric, breaking into a cold sweat, rushed to clamp his hand over Hayden's mouth. "Miss Riley," he said nervously, "why don't you just name your price?" I arched an eyebrow, a slow, mocking smile forming. "You really think this is about money, Mr. Cobb? I've dealt with entitled heirs before, but never one as clueless as your son. If anyone else had done what he did today, you wouldn't have even come in person. One phone call, and it would have been buried quietly, right?" Edric couldn't meet my gaze, his hands trembling slightly. "Miss Riley, you're right. We were at fault." Hayden looked like he'd seen a ghost, unable to comprehend the scene.
Dad.
"How could you bow like that in front of some outsider?" I met Hayden's eyes slowly. "So, you still believe your family controls the city, don't you?" He narrowed his eyes, defiant but shaken. "Mr. Cobb," I said, checking my watch, "confidence is one thing, but blind arrogance is another. Your family isn't untouchable. Let's see what you really have." Edric's face went pale. He opened his mouth to respond, but I raised a hand to stop him. I waved casually at Hayden. "Mr. Cobb, you've got it all wrong. It's not about whether your family will forgive me. It's about whether I'll forgive you." His secretary leapt to defend him. "You insolent little brat. How dare you speak to Mr. Cobb like that? Do you want to die?" A team of bodyguards instantly formed a barrier around me, cutting off every exit. The room was tense, ready to explode. Then a calm, commanding voice rang out. "Stand down." A middle-aged man hurried in, sweat glistening on his forehead. "Miss Riley, I'm so sorry you were frightened." He took one look at the scene and understood immediately. Without glancing at his son, he walked directly to me and bowed deeply. "This is my fault for failing to raise my son. Please, Miss Riley, don't hold this against us." I steadied him with a hand and offered a faint smile. "There's no need for formalities, Mr. Cobb. Half an hour ago, I called off the engagement. From now on, our paths no longer cross. I have nothing more to do with your family." Edric opened his mouth but quickly turned his fury on Hayden, slapping his son across the face, leaving a bright red mark. "You idiot! Do you even understand what you've done?" Hayden, stunned, protested. "Dad? I was just trying to pursue my happiness. I didn't want to marry someone who's all looks and no substance." Wanting happiness isn't wrong," I said calmly, "but the way you went about it, that's the part one take issue with." Hayden's anger boiled over. "Veronica, stop acting high and mighty. I'm my family's heir, future CEO of Cobb Group. And you? Just some civil servant with minor backing." Technically, he wasn't wrong. But Edric clearly disagreed, trembling with rage. "Hayden, shut your mouth. Apologize to Miss Riley immediately. Or don't blame me if I disown you." His words echoed through the room. Jillian, once cocky, was frozen, realizing the young woman before her commanded respect beyond her comprehension. Edric then took the stage fully. Pointing at Hayden's secretary, he barked, "You."
Fired.
Effective immediately. Turning to me, he added, "And anyone else who disrespects Miss Riley, you're gone. No exceptions." Jillian's face crumbled. Hayden, still clueless, tried to protest.
"Dad.
What right do you have? She threatened the company before you even got here." Even now, Hayden thought his family could challenge real authority.
Poor guy.
He had no idea the real power rested elsewhere. Edric, sweating and nervous, clamped his hand over Hayden's mouth. "Miss Riley, name your price." I arched an eyebrow, a slow smirk forming. "You really think this is about money? I've dealt with entitled heirs, but never one this clueless. One phone call, and this would have been buried quietly, right?" Edric couldn't meet my gaze. "Miss Riley, you're right. We were at fault." Hayden looked like he'd seen a ghost.
"Dad.
How could you bow like that in front of an outsider?" I met his eyes. So, you still think your family controls the city? He narrowed his eyes, defiant yet shaken. Confidence is one thing, I said, checking my watch, but blind arrogance is another. Let's see what you really have. Edric went pale, ready to comply. I raised a hand to stop him. I addressed Hayden. Weren't you begging me to spare your family earlier? I'm offering a solution now. Don't like it?
Tough.
Now look at this. I pointed to the trash can where my wedding dress lay. Someone ruined my dress. Someone has to take responsibility. Your secretary isn't important enough, but you just might qualify. Edric nodded firmly. Miss Riley, will do as you say. Tomorrow I'll publicly sever ties with Hayden. Hayden tried to argue one last time, but it was too late. He'd started this mess, and he'd be the one to end it. Jillian, the spark behind the chaos, was quietly arrested that night. Her phone threats alone were enough to ensure a long prison sentence. Once everything was settled, I dismissed the guests, and the wedding was officially canceled. Explaining the full situation to my mom took effort. She was understandably overwhelmed. Before I left, she pulled me aside. Next time you get married, can you please not keep your identity a secret?